Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. Now, with my head just between those two canvases there, I've got a bit of a Tintin sort of tuft going on. Is that about? Or maybe it's the fledgling shark fin that I know I will evolve into having atop my head. Anyway, folks, we've got another unboxing to do. Yes, and we love them. A mystery unboxing. And this comes courtesy of our great friend and super channel contributor, John Leggat. John Leggat, who is a massive Hammer horror movie fan and vintage horror movie fan. And in thanks for whatever this is, I promise you, John, I'll do you a Hammer horror video. That's what I'll do. I'm not saying when, but it's going to come up fairly soon, I would have thought. Now, a great friend of both John's and now mine is the artist Gary Kester. Gary Kester, amongst many other things that he does, posing as First World War soldiers, hanging about on trains and trams. That sounds really, really bad, but he helps to organise trips on these things. He's a great, great guy. He also is a huge movie aficionado and movie score fanatic. And he headed up the Jerry Goldsmith fan club, legend. And he met the great Jerry Goldsmith many times and has some great anecdotes to tell about all of that. But what he does, he also does fabulous artwork of these composers. Now, because of my love of movie music and the movies therein, John has sent me various other canvases from the great Gary Kester. And I've done videos on every single one of these. We've had Elmer Bernstein, we've had Jerry Goldsmith, we've had John Williams, we've had Bernard Herrmann. And I kind of know the packaging and the weight of these things when they turn up that, oh yeah, that's going to be a canvas, that. So, what John said to me was like, in thanks for my mammoth long video review of In the Name of the Rose, sorry, The Name of the Rose. I was thinking of In the Name of the Father there, with Sean Connery and Christian Slater. The medieval murder mystery, you know, the gothic cathedral whodunit. And he said, well, in thanks for that review, I'm going to send you this. Well, being as our love of film composers is so deep and entrenched, I'm going to show you the box anyway. And I know, given the, oh don't worry, there was addresses, and John's address I took off the back, the return to sender address, like it was going to go back to him, you know what I mean? And my address, the Kilt Mansion here, which I've obscured for security reasons. And I thought, well, in thanks for that. Now, one of my favourite composers of all time, James Horner, the late great James Horner. A guy that should have stuck to the podium, stuck to the recording studio, stuck to the auditorium with the orchestra, and kept out of his little bloody small two-seater plane, which he managed to plough into the ground. Oh, God. Back in, I think it was 2015, and yeah, it was a very, very sad day when that news broke, because I've loved his music, well, pretty much all of my life. And so many of my favourite movies have been composed by him. So, you know, I'm not going to labour this point, because I've been pretty much on the money with these mystery unboxings of late. Or in fact, pretty much all the way down the line, to be honest. With the odd misstep here and there. So, I'm assuming that the deference in thanks to The Name of the Rose video, which James Horner did the score for Jean-Jacques Hano's movie. There's James Horner in here. I don't know, I could be wrong. But it's kind of okay in a way, because right now I'm playing his score for Red Heat, for Walter Hill. His second Arnie movie after Commando. And it's got a similar sort of feel, the steel drums and the jazzy urban funk sort of element to it, and the big percussive dramatic moments. But James Horner is also known for his soaring orchestrals, his symphonic might, his blending of the chorus, choral voices, sometimes a single voice, and with sweeping elegiac, monumental themes colossally long cues and tracks on the soundtracks, and really tugging at the heartstrings, despite being a master with suspense, tension, excitement, and great action tracks. It's the emotional aspect which I think all the other composers I mentioned there, my favourites, and John Barry as well, really could grab your heart and go, "Ugh!" And they would wring tears out of a rock. They were that emotional and that searingly in depth. Well, James Horner's the one that really introduced me to that kind of music and would reduce me to tears on, you know, almost every occasion. And yet it's clever the way that he could, in one track, bring in the tears, bring in the excitement, bring in the adventure, bring in the tears again, and round it out in a huge sort of uplifting elegiac fashion. And by far, he's one of the greatest. Now, I hate the fact I've got to caveat this, because everybody who is anybody who loves film music always knows that there's a hating side of James Horner because of self-plagiarism, which all film composers have done. All the great ones I've just mentioned, they have ripped themselves off time and time again. And you recognise their music and their style straight away. But another thing thrown at James Horner is his capacity for taking off the likes of Prokofiev and Shostakovich and probably other composers which if I can't remember them, I sure as hell can't pronounce them either. Now, again, all those illustrious maestros I've just mentioned all did the same thing. But James Horner gets singled out every time for having done this by the hate-filled mob. Isn't it ridiculous how, you know, in today's world of everyone's polarised, you're either for it or against it. No one can be middle of the road. No one can be, you know, ambivalent. I'm on the fence with this. You've got to love it or you've got to hate it. And if you hate it, you've got to tell everyone in the world that you hate it and why you hate it. Well, James Horner gets a lot of stick, and I genuinely cannot believe it. Because I think his music is incredibly moving. I am not a huge fan of Shostakovich and the other one I just mentioned, and Prokofiev, and there's a whole slew of others, I'm sure. But if I heard their music, I'd go, "Oh, that sounds like James Horner." No, I know what he's done. I know all of this. I've followed him since I was about 9-10 years old, so I know his music very, very well. And it doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I love and adore his music. And if he's not inside this, then I'm really going to look stupid, aren't I? So, let's not waste any more time. Let's cut into this. And if anyone saw my previous video on the Martini Enfield carbine rifle, which I had to modify and fix, and it's genuinely from, you know, over 100 years ago, and I had to work on it to put a 4 stock on it because it was missing that, but otherwise it's perfect. I had to use gaffer tape, the masking tape that's on this, to try to fix the 4 stock to the barrel. So, yet more gaffer tape. And my God, it is completely and utterly festooned with it. John, my God, you've done a number on this. I'm going to leave Red Heat playing for now, because I have done a great number of videos on James Horner already. Memories of James Horner and James Horner, like a celebration and stuff like that. So a lot of the music that I love, there's a lot of this, a lot of the music I love of James Horner, I've played on the channel quite a bit. And I had a playlist which, because of my belief, my strong belief that this is James Horner in here. Well, not the James Horner, obviously. No. There'd be unsavoury jokes we can make there, but hang on a minute. I've added a couple of tracks to it. Now, what I will say is, oh God, just talk amongst yourselves, because this is going to take a while to get into. My God, John. It was easier and quicker to get into Tutankhamun's tomb. Oh we are. Oh, but we're talking double fold out here, and yet more gaffer tape. Yeah. So I've added a few more tracks to it. Now, I always with James Horner play certain tracks which you guys, regular viewers, will know, and regular viewers and fans of movies will definitely. See, I want to retain the surprise of this because, as I say, it could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, if it's another composer, then I will have the music, because sure, John wouldn't pick someone that I haven't talked copiously about. Well, the dog will have fun with this later. Right. Well, I can see through the bubble wrap. Phew, thank God. I'm right. I've just noticed there's a bit of a lens flare taking place. J.J. Abrams, please take note. You don't have copyright on lens flares. Right. I am right, so I'm going to now employ the beauty of the big James Horner playlist. We have another favourite of mine, bubble wrap. Oh God, and it's stuck down as well. Bubble wrap. You can happily feel free to identify all the tracks that come on. Ooh. That little clout your head was one of these corner pieces, these protective corner pieces, which I'm going to remove now. Falling off. Really should have thought this through. James Horner is the most emotive composer that I've ever loved and adored, and his music moves me profoundly every time. And just seeing his face now. There you go, folks. One is this acrylic on canvas with the subtle colouring that Gary does so well. Get that pesky ring light out the way. There he is. He's a very youthful looking man. Bit of a strange man as well. You know, taking to the air and all that, like the skies. Gary's, it's James Horner. Gary signed it there. Gary and John. It's fantastic. That's a guy there that his heart will go on, you know? And he embraced fantasy and a love of the imagination so far beyond most other people. He had a room in his house which was a huge room where he'd do his writing. He composed in that room. There'd be a big piano there. But this room was like something out of Guillermo del Toro's most feverish dreams. Clockwork toys, dolls, statues, lots of bizarre contraptions and equipment, flying machines, very, very crazy artifacts. And he'd lock himself in, well, not lock himself, but he'd go in there and disappear for probably days composing with all of these contraptions which fired his imagination. If you go on YouTube, there is a video. I think in my previous James Horner tribute, I think I linked to that, because I think his wife and his daughter did an actual video tour of that room, and it's a trip inside the mind of a maestro. You know, you wonder why people come up with these things. For Stephen King, it was coke, and I don't mean the bubbly canned variety. It was coke, it was other drugs and alcohol, and suddenly he'd written The Stand, The Dead Zone, The Shining, Cujo, Salem's Lot. He has no memory of doing it, but whatever it takes to achieve genius, so long as you're not hurting anybody, then so be it. Look at that. Gary, it's beautiful. It is. And you've captured his face as well. Well, obviously that would be a good idea. Otherwise you'd be going, who's that? But the soulful eyes and that little sense of humour. I saw something, I caught it, I don't know, it was about 2 or 3 months ago. And it was on terrestrial TV. And we were flicking through the channels. It was early morning as well. Not having come back from a club early morning. It was breakfast time. And on some obscure channel, they were showing a concert of his music, his movie music from, I don't know if it was Italy or France, but somewhere in Europe. And he was sitting there in the audience. And my God, he was so enthusiastic, and the performances were unbelievable. And he was in tears. And I think one of the singers who was doing Probably My Heart Will Go On came down off stage, and he thanked her, and he was just drenched in tears. That's what it means to people. I'm surprised any of his song sheets or his compositional sheets weren't drenched with tears, because once you come up with that theme and that idea and you run with it and then you interweave it through other elements. Oh, wow. It is beautiful. Should have thought about this, because we should put this up. So, I mean, I've got like an array of James Horner CD soundtracks here. And I've got some Wolves. So, Wolfen will make an appearance. We've got Khan, Ricardo Montalban. It's right there. Khan, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. I wonder if I can put that there and it's not going to fall off. I do not want this to fall off. If that falls, well, if it does fall, you'll never see this video. Oh, we've got the ring light on it now. Ooh. Well, someone's fallen over already. I think that's Khan. I think Khan's gone for a bed in there. He has. I just don't want. Do you know what? I'm not going to do it. We'll show it again. I don't want it cascading off there. So we'll put it down there. I think I'll leave Khan where he is. So you've got strong emotion and excitement and tension and rhythmic ebb and, you know, kettle drums and stuff. And then you get Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Listen to this. And this is pure like Tom and Jerry. It's razzmatazz. You've got xylophones and wood block and other things that he would love. You've got wonderful percussion taking place. A really super hyper jazz going on. This is a great film as well. It's playful, it's joyful. And I'm sure it's pure chaotic jamboree stuff, isn't it? I'm sorry, that Tintin's really bothering me, that now. That's better. Watch it as it rises again. Like a Tom and Jerry bang on the head, it goes. So you've got the theme. Dun, 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 dun. You can imagine like Flapper Girls giving it loads. Very old school, very roaring 30s. Was it roaring 20s? Roaring 20s. And the, I don't know what the 30s were. Throttling 30s. And then the flirty 40s. Frisky 50s. Which is the decade I'm living in now. The frisky 50s. Then you get the saucy. Where am I going with that? But that was great. And I think you got another track from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids here. Which is just the same sort of thing. There's rattles and twists going on there. Clarinet. It's super like, wow. It's super woozy. Oh, and I'll bet someone out there is going to go, well, he based that off the late 17th century composer. Is it just sheer joy? You and the orchestra, you gotta love playing this. This is when you get up, you go like, woo, like that. And then you're a bit embarrassed, you know. You can summon on the organ. And that, of course, that's a train hooter. Brilliant. Tuba? Bassoon? Often hard to tell. It's all fading out, but there's still little bits of chaotic melody taking place. All at counterpoints and contrapuntal and all that, like colliding and weaving in and out of each other. Big cascade of colour. What's next? Oh, okay. We're on the Spiderwick Chronicles. See, oh, the thing I was trying to say before, I've tried to put, well, I think on this, there's a lot of tracks here which you might not have heard me playing before, because I've added a few to these. What you won't hear though is Titanic or Avatar. Not that I don't like them, I actually love the score for Titanic. I think it's fantastic. It's actually pulverizing stuff. Once that big ocean liner has come a cropper with a big iceberg, and that music kicks in, and you got the pounding percussion, and the anvils are going for it. Oh, why did I put that on? No, I think it's too obvious. I like to play stuff that maybe people don't or are not that familiar with, perhaps. So this is the Flight of the Griffin from Spiderwick Chronicles. That's the one with the goblins and the Mulgarath, the great big bastard goblin. And you've got, like, you know, you've got the little green. He's friendly sometimes, but they can be quite nasty as well. But he's actually a good guy, and they've inherited the house. But the father went missing many years ago. No, hang on. The grandfather went missing many years ago. But he's in the land of the fairies. So I don't mean to go through the entire movie, but you have action, mystery, suspense. It's actually quite a dark film. There's kids involved, and you've got one young child actor, he's grown up now, who's playing the twin brothers. And they do it pretty well. And he discovered the book, and you know about the magic circle. If you break that circle, the goblins will come in, and they want the book to bring Mulgarath back and take over the world, or something like that. I don't know. You've got this big chase through the sewers. You've got plenty of demons and monstery stuff, but you have this wonderful, incredibly moving passage where his daughter, hang on a minute, I can't remember how this works. The family relationships work out. They find the woman who's the daughter of the guy that wrote the Chronicle, the Spiderwick Chronicles. And they go and bring him back from Fairyland at the end to go and say hello and goodbye to his daughter, because he went missing. The fairies took him. I've sold this really well, haven't I? But they take a flight on the Griffin to the Fairyland, and it's all very magical. Got 2 Academy Awards for Titanic, for the original score and for the original song. My Heart Will Go On. And millions of other awards and nominations far too many to even go into. And he would do animation, like Balto and Fievel Goes West and American Tail and all that sort of stuff, which are great scores as well, which I didn't put on. Land Before Time. What I love about his music is the way he brings in like gongs and chimes and the anvil. And sometimes, we'll probably get an example at some point, which I'll try to remember to point out, when suddenly you've got searing strings and the brass comes in with a huge motif, and then sort of from an obtuse angle, it'll lash an anvil clang in there, which kind of, in other unskilled hands, that would come across as just, what the hell have you done there? It's like, we're going this way and then bang, you get knocked off trajectory. But the way he does it, I'm sure it's Legend of the Fall, where he'll do this sort of thing. Look at the movements. That's your strings and your full orchestrals, and this is your big angular gong comes in at a really strange moment, and yet he's worked that out. Not mathematically. Everything he come up with was from the heart and from the soul. Okay, let's go on to this. Again is Spiderwick Chronicles, and this is the closing credits. But you get all the themes will come in, all the beautiful themes, not the dark, sinister stuff. I mean, this, you just heard this theme, but this is going to bleed into other themes. I've got to learn to stop talking over these tracks, haven't I? The point is to listen to his music. Imagine getting that moment wrong. You'd be there, you're the cymbal clasher, and like he's doing all this, like right, everyone's the strings are swooning and keening, the brass is being subdued but just creeping up gently, and like we're gonna big crescendo to bring in all of the percussion and the brass and everything else together. You, Mr. Cymbal, and you go like, you're just so moved by the music around you, going like, oh, and you miss it, boom. You miss time now. I think you get into all the, I think I kind of wanted the moment where he meets his daughter again. I forgot the actor's name now, but he's great. He plays Captain Benteen in The Son of the Morning Star about Custer's last stand. He's also in The River Wild. Oh yeah. Of course, Horner could play piano, and it was brilliant. Wish I could. See, I think a lot of people like make the connections to these classical composers. A lot of his work is asymphonic, but also it's very pastoral. It does give you the feeling of bygone times and meadows and forests and glens, which of course is why he was so great for the likes of Braveheart. His love of ethnic instruments and medieval sounds and tribal sounds. Obviously, you know, alongside that you've got Apocalypto and the New World, which I think I've got the New World on here somewhere, which is just nature noises, ambience, but he's captured it and he's orchestrated it, and you just lie back and you're there. Usual. Okay. This does go on, and I think we're probably missing the most actual emotional bit, which is probably a good thing. So let's go on to Perfect Storm, a film I have covered, and I've covered this score before as well. This is to the Flemish Cap, which is a region of the sea where the Andrea Gale is going to come out there into the perfect storm of 1993, and they ain't going to come back. James Horner scores this with an understanding of the vast openness of the sea, the optimism, heroism and drive and motivation of these sword fishermen going out there, knowing that this could be the big one. And maybe we're not going to come back, but they're going to fight against the elements. And this is the decision to go to the Flemish Cap, where we could, we reach that point, we might not be able to make it back, do the fishing, get back in time before the storm hits. They won't get back in time. But listen to this. You get this rolling sensation of the sea and the wind coming in. But that's what they deal with on a daily basis. It's all true story. It's George Clooney, Mark Wahlberg, Michael Ironside's in there as well. Michael Ironside. You've got sustained cymbals being struck there as well. But listen how he turns it ominous. Stare out into the sea. Maybe we can do this. But listen. It's skillful. It's bringing in. That's fate. You're already being told. Musically, that's. They ain't coming back. So many of his cues are long and they go through huge permutations, heroic, comical, pastoral, genteel, and then suddenly you'll get a cavalcade of excitement, oftentimes tinged with a bit of doom as well. I don't know what it says about people like me that I really respond to the tragedy of these things. I don't know why that is. Why should that be? But unless I put the wrong cue on, this should suddenly kick in and liven up. Cheers, you all. Cheers, John. Cheers, Gary. Fate's out there. We might not come back, but let's go fishing, boys. It's almost galloping, isn't it? Because the Andrea Gale is like that. It's galloping over the fields of the sea. And you've got like, it's the bodhran. You know, there's someone like a little drum thing. Drumstick. And listen how it kicks in again now. Glistens. Again, it's very Celtic. It's a lot of his stuff is Celtic flavoured. You have got the guitar and you're like, and the piano. Ring. Use your elbow. It's turned again. For a second there, you were like the champion racehorse. You were Pegasus surging through the tsunamis, the taking to the air, the sky. Something James Horner shouldn't have done. And then it turns again. It's an epic story. Just one track is telling a huge musical story. The main theme. It's a great film actually. Wolfgang Petersen directed it. He's sadly now gone. This. Because you've got the kind of drums, he's got cymbals as well, so you get multiple. Each time you hear that, you get the sea spray. And like, because they're a coastal town, you know, and so you're gonna have like, you know, in the bars and the taverns, you're gonna have people playing guitars and stuff like. So you get a bit of round going on as well. Okay, well, obviously, what's coming up next? It's a bit of Willow. Yes, little Warwick Davis. And Alora Danan. Prophecy, Child, Quest. Seen them all before. Chorus. That was the dog shaking there, scratching their ears. You get a lovely Celtic motif to this. I won't play, we've got a lot to get through, so won't play too much of some of these longer tracks. Okay, everyone's going like, hang on, just heard that theme before. Well, yeah. And you get the danger motif, which we're all massively familiar with, and that little motif there would appear in Troy and oh god, many other things as well. The husky dog has arrived here, just sort of I would say behind you, but she's actually coming past us right now. That would be her. adding her own percussive lick of water to the whole musical proceedings. And she might want to go out the back, so. That is very like Troy. It is. I fully admit that. I have servants in this mansion who should be doing this opening and closing of door things and taking care of the dog. A lot of people don't like this. Not that, but the choral element. Lots of female voices going, ah. Or in James Horner's case, a lot of the final songs, final compositions, it's a lone female warbling voice. It wasn't him that, well, see, it wasn't him that started it. It certainly wasn't. But other filmmakers brought in composers that would do the same thing. Look at Gladiator with Lisa Gerrard. So, you know, you've got all of this. I like it. That's beautiful. It's almost like a curtsy. Like you rise up and then you go. Genuflect. Isn't that great? Panpipes. Big one for the panpipes was James Horner as well. Isn't that great? Whether you like the movie or you don't, you know, you could be sitting there, and I'm not picking on Willow itself, but when you like the movie you're watching and you hear something which has got such emotional flourish and colour and musical dexterity to it, you're going to remember that. The film itself, see what I said before, the music's doing one thing and then suddenly you get like a flourish which comes in from the side and like, you know, side swipes you. Japanese subs slammed 2 torpedoes into our side, chief. You know, like that, just unexpectedly. Shouldn't work, but does. So you're getting this sort of aggression now. Panpipes are going into overdrive. The poor panpipers are again. Still got the Tintin going on though, haven't I? Anyway. This is from Troy. Now we're going with pure percussion here. Tribal ethnic percussion. This is Achilles taking on Hector. I know there's not a great deal of colour to this, but there's an action, adrenalized dynamism. So you've got lots of, by the way, I can play bongos, I can do that, but you've got lots of ethnic drums. This is the sort of thing that the likes of Hans Zimmer would go around the world, scour the world, and get all the fabulous ethnic percussion artists and get them all in a room and jam together, record it, and then send them all back, and then put it into a sampler and just remix it all digitally into some electronic mush, removing all the individual colour and timing. Horner gets them, and they're there. It's vibrant, it's real. It's a great fight. I've got a great Troy poster, but sadly I can't bring it down. It would fill all that's behind me. So I couldn't have had all the extra bits and bobs. I love the film Troy. And you will get like the agonised female vocalist as well coming in here, when of course Achilles tricks Hector and gets him, and it's all over for the Trojan hero himself, Hector. Troy was also Wolfgang Peterson as well. Great cast, great cast. Orlando Bloom coming across as a complete and utter Jesse, and yet he's a womanizer. It's his actions with Helen of Troy that brings about this entire war, which went on for a long time, if history is correct, if it really happened. The film condensed into about 3 or 4 days. There's Eric Bana now on his knees, and the sword will be driven into him, and then he'll be shackled up and towed behind Achilles' chariot till he's really ravaged up, like, which, according to Odysseus and Homer, this is what happened. So I love this. There's very often times when the Kilt Mansion on maybe a Sunday morning literally rings out across the realm with a sound of percussive wallop and an ethereal, sort of maybe Middle Eastern flavoured female vocal crooning, wailing. God knows what the populace thinks. And then you see me coming out with swords strapped to me back, strutting about. Okay, we've got lots of wailing women now, so okay, yeah, we'll move on. And we'll go to... This is Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. We all know how much I love Star Trek 2. But I love the way that he brought Klingons in Star Trek 3. And Jerry Goldsmith created the best Klingon theme ever. Really super percussive and dead bizarre and very alien. Of course, he scored Alien as well. But I like the way Horner kind of takes his idea and moves with it. And makes it a bit more driving and a bit more kind of like, I don't know, you can dance around to it. You could do a disco stomp to his Klingon theme. It's just coming up now. If you listen to the distant sort of almost conch shell echoes. They're there. And suddenly it'll kick in. Klingons, big pasties welded to their fods. The mad freaky eyebrows and big mustachioed bits. They were the intergalactic Mexican bandits, weren't they? The Bill Bailey of the cosmos, of the dark universe. Oh, that metallic percussion. Sounds great, and it's definitely one of the things that Horner really employs. I love the fact it's quite pantomimic, this. You compare it to Jerry Goldsmith's version from Star Trek the Motion Picture, and that's brilliantly distinctive, and I love it. This is a take on that. So it's paying homage to Goldsmith, but it's like, well, okay, our film was a bit more fun than Motion Picture. We're having a laugh with this as well. It's very pantomimic with boo-hiss bad guys, which the Klingons are in this movie. They're not the bad guys in Motion Picture. They're victims. You can imagine them, when the Klingon jazz band arrives at the Mos Eisley Cantina, They literally will have skulls there, and they're bashing them with bones. Forget the Ewoks, the stormtrooper helmets. They're smacking Federation skulls. Okay, right, let's move on again. Let's go to, okay. Bit of peace and tranquility. This is the new world. Fridge freezer is also making its presence felt. That's what I was saying before. This is sort of thing you could lie down anywhere, on your settee, on the floor, on your garden bench, as I did the other night and got myself bitten to buggery by mosquitoes. Hence the sleeves. You don't want to see, ravaged. In bed, in a meadow, lying in the cleft of a tree. Play this. Or, better yet, if you actually are in the meadows, don't play any music. Listen to what the wildlife is doing. Because that's all he's captured here. And he brings in the orchestra as well. The New World, of course, the tale of Pocahontas. John Smith. Not the most heroic of names, is it? In the UK, John Smith for many decades was the most... Everyone was called John Smith. Or Dickhead. Listen, this sort of this build up, this subdued. And you get this. I don't think it's a great film, but it's a film I do enjoy watching. Because it doesn't do what you think it's going to do. There's no big battles. There's a battle. There's a bit of violence in it, but it's not like that at all. It's very dreamy, very surreal, very abstract. Nature plays as much in the landscape of the frame as any of the characters do. Colin Farrell, Christian Bale, and I really have sadly forgotten the name of the girl that plays Pocahontas. But, you know, Terrence Malick's work, people love it or they loathe it. Again, we're going to the polarization. I love his work. I love my action. I love frenetic action fests, John Wicks and the Mission Impossibles, and I love, you know, slaughter gore fests. I love all those. I love me 80s heroism, the big muscle-bound hero. Love all of that. But I love films from 1920s, 30s, 40s. Went through all before, didn't I? The flirty 40s, whatever it was. I love all of that. The way moods changed and action changed and styles changed. But I've got ample time to sit back and revel in the likes of a dreamy, sort of semi-surreal and yet semi-documentarian take on arriving in the new world and the problems therein ensued. And I think Horner would have found so much to enjoy with composing for something like this. See, what I find with Horner's music is that it embraces you, it carries you. It can break you and then build you back up again. And then break you all over again. And the thing is, I think the thing that made me discover that potentiality with his music was the likes of Wolfen. And yeah, there is a canvas up there for Wolfen. And as many of you guys know, it's one of my favourite movies ever. The book itself, I've talked about it a lot. The book saw me through a severe bout of bronchitis when I was a kid. And then when the film came out, the film is different from the book, but the film worked a different kind of magic on me. I read Whitley Strieber's novel, Wolfen, every year. I love it. I'm still thrilled with it every time. I watch Wolfen incredibly regularly. No, I don't want to do this bit right now. We'll come back onto that. What's just playing there? I'll go on to Wolfen. And his score for Wolfen is, again, tribal, it's searing. A lot of the danger motif comes into this. And this is in 1981. And the film works on so many different levels for me because I love wolves, I love wildlife. I love detective stories, I love horror films. And it is a horror film, but it twists everything around. Well, the novel is a horror novel, but Whitley Strieber loves his wolves and gives them a get out at the end as well. In the film, Albert Finney, playing the detective, Dewey Wilson, will realise, yeah, they've got a reason to live. They're only doing what they're doing because we're encroaching on their hunting grounds. Listen to this, the danger motif. It's that wooden crispy crunch. Chunk, 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 chunk. This is from the finale in Wall Street. Wolves on Wall Street. I mean, it lifts up. All the wolves are surrounding our heroes. We've known for a while that they're wolves. Super intelligent, big fucking wolves. And now now they know it's for real. It isn't a terrorist group that were doing all the killings. You know the film Wolfen, I'm not going to go into it all. It's the music. This is where they're looking into the eyes and the wolf can see with like big heat vision, pre-predator heat vision. That searing motif. You get this burgeoning might. That's musical muscle. That's the wolves. That's their musculature, their speed, their aggression. And of course, there's a Dick O'Neill who plays the police chief. Will make that mistake and run for the car. I'll be god fucking damned, he says when he sees all the. I made it sound like someone from pure the Bronx there, but Albert Finney's going, no, don't do it. He gets his hand bitten off. Then he gets his head bitten off. But that's Wall Street and the Wolves, it's called, the track itself. But let's go on to another track from that movie. When the Native Americans who work on the high steel in New York or on the States, they built all the bridges, built all the high-rise towers. And you've got Edward James Olmos there, who's a suspect in the killings. And after he witnesses the death of his mate, played by, oh God, for his name now, the dancer, oh God, for his name, who plays the forensic scientist, Whittington, gets killed in a sequence which I've done videos on that sequence itself. and he goes into the Indian bar. Because now he knows, Dewey Wilson, Albert Finney now knows it's not terrorists. It is wolves that are doing it. I've witnessed it. I've seen them now. And the Indians are trying to tell him about the backstory of the wolves. It's not wolves. It's wolfen. 10 times your fucking Christian era. You know, in their world, you know, their senses are complete. You know, their world is more rounded, more complete. No need for detectives. Their family, their brothers. You got your senses, but you're lost. Oh, hang on, no, got that wrong. You got your technology, but you're lost. You lost your senses. Because the wolfen can sense diseased organs where the forensic pathologist can't work out. Hang on, how did they know to leave this organ when it's diseased? Where it takes me 24 hours with all the shit that I got to work with. And they knew, because their senses are so highly acute. And they tell Dewey about the wolfen, how they went underground, the big mass genocide of the Native Americans, and the wolfen, and the Indians and the wolfen are kind of blood brothers because of the genocide. It's just, it's tribal. There are flutes and high strings here. Tribal flutes, woodwinds. And he'll be told, you know, what the wolfen really are. But then, like, Edward James Olmos is like, you've seen them, haven't you? You don't have the eyes of the hunter. You have the eyes of the dead. And Albert Finney is just rattled by the whole thing. And then one comes over like, oh man, this is just ancient Indian jive. I don't believe any of this bullshit. He gives him a Budweiser. Someone think that, listen, you guys have said too much, so just get him a drink, get him out of here. But Albert Finney will go back to the high-rise penthouse suite of the guy that's been making moves into the South Bronx, a big land development project. But the wolfen hunt there. They live in an old church, and they take out all the down and outs, the vagrants, the homeless, the winos, people that won't be missed. But their only mistake is defending their territory, because they kill the prestigious Van de Veers who were in charge of this land development. So they kill them in a terrific opening sequence. So here you've got Albert Finney goes back to their apartment, and it's one of those weird wire things, like an executive toy, stress reliever, and he's trying to compute it all in his brain. And I used to sit as a kid and watch this sequence before I got the soundtrack to it, and just listen to the music and watch his expressions. Cello. And he's working it all out. They've got a huge sort of 3D model of the South Bronx. The land development is going to take place here, and all the killings have taken. It's not rocket science, I know, and he realizes the wolfen are protecting the hunting ground. Terrorists, terrorism, terror. He works it all out. It's that moment there, which you just heard, of like realization. I just sit in awe watching this movie over and over and over again. And it's Horner's music which does it. And Horner replaced Craig Safan, who did the original score for the movie, but the movie got mucked around with, from a 4-hour cut to a 3-hour cut to a 2-hour to a 102 or 3 minute cut. Jettison loads. They ousted the director Michael Wadley and brought in John Hancock. John Hancock, who had previously screwed up Jaws 2 and then been ousted himself. Oh, the irony. And then edit it all down into like the version that we have now, and which is still cut for copyright reasons, which I've discussed it all before. But the music, Craig Safan's music, which I've also got as well, which is great and very Indian, very tribal, and very icy and brittle. It's scary stuff. It is. But Homeless music brings a warmth and a despair and a tragedy to it, which is just delightful and shivery. Listen to this. And that forlorn motif there. It is truly outstanding. So, okay, let's go on to something. And this is from Legends of the Fall, a classic American novella, which I've got and read. And it's grim as fuck, it really is. And the film is grimmer again. Everyone goes through massive hardship. You've got Brad Pitt again. Brad Pitt. You've got Aidan Quinn. You've got Anthony Hopkins. You've got the girl whose name I cannot remember. That is not it. That's Klingons. What am I doing? But Tristan, who's the Brad Pitt character, Anthony Hopkins' son, who's the old colonel, and they've got a huge ranch in Montana. After all the deaths of like his brother in the First World War, which he went out and avenged and scalped German machine gunners, and goes back into camp with the scalps attached to his belt. He goes off on a mad spree of adventuring around the globe, but drinking too much. And his family miss him. The old colonel misses him. And the seasons change. It's called The Changing Seasons. So years go by and Tristan hasn't come back. No word from him. He's at sea, on galleons, drinking. And then suddenly, so you've got that pastoral forlornness. And then their faithful Native American ranch herder, because their herds of horses have all gone. They've been priced out the market and all this, and the winds have changed, and like he realizes you can hear the thundering of hooves. And Horn is doing this now, and suddenly over the crest of the hill comes long blonde-haired Brad Pitt, Tristan, big Stetson on, like, with a huge herd of horses. Gonna get the ranch back into business. We're gonna make money again. I've been around the world. I've been to the depths of despair. I've come back again. That thing I was saying before. Very Celtic again, very Celtic, very tribal. And like, of course, Anthony Hopkins is a colonel, father, like, he's had a stroke. He's like, and he writes on a slate, and like, Tristan comes up like, father, I'm back. And like, Anthony Hopkins is great. He just writes, "I'm happy." the Ludlows they are. They call it the family name, Ludlows. But sadly, more tragedy will transpire. It's a really, really grim, spectacularly, horribly downbeat sort of movie. Because you get this period now where Tristan has calm, and he falls in love. He's lost other women, and he'll meet the daughter of that Native American, and they run into like prejudice in the town, and of course the land grabbing bastards, the politicians want the Ludlows land, so try and price them at the market, and you can't make payments on your land, all this kind of bullshit, like. And in a standoff on the street, and one of them, a couple of stray rounds, one goes as threatening rounds, one ricochets and goes through Tristan's new bride's head, kills her. So you have the revenge suite of music from James Horner, but also the revenge attack, which is brilliant, and the finale's superb. But anyway, that's Legends of the Fall, which is terrific. So, okay, let's move on to another historical one. The Four Feathers. Not a great film. There's about 3 or 4 different versions that came before this version, and they're all better than this version. And you've got oh god, Heath Ledger is in this, the star of this movie, and some other great young actors who are now older actors. And it is, of course, the British versus the Māori and tribes, the big uprising. And if you give them 4 feathers, a sign of cowardice, you get 4, that's complete coward. So Heath Ledger has to go back out there to rescue his friends out there. We'll come on to that one again. But there is you've got a big massacre there, which the film does not show properly at all. But you have this great cue. Again, panpipes and all weird ethnic stuff taking place. This is Horner in modern action mode. And it's a fight, a skirmish to the death. Break your chains and run down the sand dunes. Have to kill somebody else. It's the one big action sequence in the movie, and it isn't that spectacular, but Horner does give it some welly here. And you get lots of like the tribal horns and all this, and the shrill stuff against the percussive wallop and momentum. Again, British redcoats after my previous video, with these helmets on. But you've got snare drums here, you've got military snare drums. And the more bombastic, militaristic brass taking place. Bugles, trumpets. Trombones as well. You can't talk about bugles and trumpets without throwing in trombones as well. These squealing strings, which are like kind of spiraling up like a cyclone, that's a speeded up version of what you hear in so many of his other scores. This is great, this. That ululation. See, again, he's found someone who could do it. So pure Māori style, evocation, and war cry. And yet cleverly, that'll probably be a lament which he's incorporated into an action track. So you got these back again. And then some poor bugger going, "Ah." For that. Now you can tell it's James Horner again. You know, that motif is there again. There's suddenly the flourish of the strings and the brass coming in. A lot of running in this. I love when he does that. Big shrill. Sort of like intermissions of like just someone's coming at you with a knife. Is it Ben Wesley James, the other guy, the dark-haired guy. And you've got Michael Sheen in here as well. Michael Sheen in one of the ghastly sequences of all the British prisoners who were just endlessly walking around in circles, going mad under imprisonment by the Mahdi, which happened as well. And at the same time, he scored the film The Missing with Kate Blanchett and Tommy Lee Jones, which is a really nasty, horrible Western movie. It's good, but it's really unpleasant to watch. About kidnapped of the Apache. I can't remember who the Indians are now, what tribe they are. But whoever the guy is in charge of the sex slavery and imprisoning and capturing of white women, and it's Uncas from Last of the Mohicans. It's Uncas. I forgot his real name now. He was a good guy in that, but he plays a really horrible bastard who does the most horrendous things. And the music's great, but it's very dark, it's very somber. There's a couple of action cues, but I'm not playing it. So. Okay. In Brainstorm for Doug Trumbull. Louise Fletcher, the late great Louise Fletcher, Nurse Ratched, undergoes a heart attack, but she manages to record it on this fantastic head gizmo techno device, which is the whole thing about the idea of Brainstorm. It can recall people's dreams and thoughts and all that. And you've got Christopher Walken in there, who will replay her death sequence. But her death sequence, I did a video specifically on this, the music of a heart attack. James Horner came up with this. This is paralysingly, use that word correctly. Listen to this. She smokes and she drinks and she has a heart attack. And she says, I'm dying. So, okay, gets the computer going. It's an early 80s movie, so it's all antiquated computers. And puts the device on and records. No, it doesn't put it on, does she? But she records all of the emotions and feelings of the heart attack. So when it replayed, and of course, she will go into. Now, if you play it back, you'll die as well and go into. It's not a great film, but it's an interesting movie. And Doug Trumbull's visual effects are amazing. But Horner's score, listen to this, just listen. It will jar you with, like, the paroxysms and the sheer collapse of your heart. The jolts. And she's like, and you'll see it. It's almost like one shot. The camera will go around it. Actually manipulates all the computers and like records everything that happens. But Horner captures it, The searing worry and like stress of it all, and the realization that look, this is my dying act. my dying deed. It's rising. The heart rate rising. So we sat and composed this. Someone go through a heart attack. How did you come up with that? It's just... And then like, peace. Yeah. My dad had 3 heart attacks and 2 what they term as warnings. And but the symptoms are the same and the warnings, they say. This is cocoon again. He survived them all. But I found him one morning, school day, and I come down the stairs, and my dad was lying there at the foot of the stairs. One leg was up the stairs, and he was lying there. It looked ridiculous. And he spoke to me, he said, "Son, can you get your mum to phone an ambulance?" And I went, "Yeah, what's happened?" He said, "I've had a heart attack." Why am I doing this? So I panicked because I called my mum. We had 2 before that, which I didn't know about. I was too young to know. They came and I remember going to hospital to see him. He was on like machines and all that. But I'll never forget that shock and like helplessness. There's my dad. And here's the heart attack music again, brilliant. The big fella, the legend, the hero, lying on his back on the floor with in his undies, his feet up the stairs. He'd obviously had the heart attack and took the tumble. And then survived it, but was obviously in shock. But not enough to not like get me to do the right thing. And like this especially, you know, it makes me think what he went through. And Horner, I'm sure, nails it. I said we go some places with this and it'll probably be emotional. So screw it. It's Commando. Everything else my dad loved as well, you know. And my mum. My mum loved Arnie as well, like, ooh, I'd love him on a butty, my mum would say. Be a big fucking butty, that, like. Alyssa Milano, you know, here come the sandwiches. What's on this? You don't want to know. But my mum would have Arnie. So this is Horner in urban funk mode. Like 48 Hours, Gorky Park as well, which Intrada has just re-released a 2-disc version of Gorky Park. And it's great, isn't it? He's carrying a fucking tree. And then he's chopping wood with a highly chromed axe as well, like. The logs up in his white vest, you know, in that lovely Californian palatial alpine mansion. And it's little Alyssa Milano. I surrender. And they go off and feed Bambi and stuff. This is the opening titles to Commando, which we all know and love. I think I've done a commentary track for it. So a nice string bridge section, and then we go back into like clashing synth and drum pads and, you know, kettle drums and all sorts of, you know, percussive wildness to give a bombastic sort of muscle-bound feel to things. Back. He's teaching her martial arts, and he does this crazy stupid thing. He's going like, whatever it is, like, and she's like, and he goes, no, like that. What fucking martial art was that meant to be? Watch the sequence, you'll see what I mean. And then you get, of course, they get attacked only minutes later after being warned. This bad guy is killing off all the members of your old team. They're being killed. You know, they're going to come after you. It's only a matter of time. I'm going to leave these two, Harris and Jorgensen, with you. You know, are they good? Real good, but not as good as you. And they don't last another 2 seconds. The minute James Olsen's helicopter takes off, they get fucking taken out. Stay downwind of them. Smell the air current. You'll pick them off. Air current? You think I can smell them coming? I did. He goes to his shed to get his big fucking assault rifle out. And of course his daughter's been kidnapped in the meantime. And you get that little Hispanic bastard sitting there. Mellow out, man. My people got some business with you. If you want your daughter back, you better cooperate. Right? Wrong. This is this bit. Horner does it superb. He drops down the stuff, so it's just a very thin layer of. You better cooperate, right? Wrong. In your own time, Colonel John Matrix. You've seen the others speeding off, like, and he gets to his fucking, that big great Jeep, which reminds me of Police Chief Brody's Jeep from Jaws and Jaws 2, but on steroids. A bit like Mr. Arnold himself. And he just, they pulled all the plugs out of it, right, shit, I'll just push it down the hill. He's like going after them. going down a bit, isn't it? Okay, right. Here's my favourite cue from Commando. He's in at the Speedos. That's not my favourite bit. He arrives on the island. Cindy, Wei Dawn Chong, has flown him there in a seaplane. He brings the dinghy up on shore. He's gonna get all tooled up, put his big, combat vest on, whoosh, big knife, multiple weapons, shotgun cartridges, grenades, fucking rocket launcher, face paint. This is it. Don't fucking dream of telling me you haven't wanted to do this exact thing. I have. For real. Only I made sure I put the face paint or the camo cream on all the way over before I put anything on. And then reveal it. Which he forgets to do. By the way, it's fucking ridiculous. But it's great though, isn't it? Oh God, right now. Let's cocoon. Okay, fuck this. I've been all over the world with this now, haven't I? And it's inspired enormous amounts of memories. And I've got upset. So big hard bastard that I can be. And I can, and have been, and I'm sure I will be again. But I've still got a heart, still got a heart. And I still get massively moved by James Horner's music. More than any other composer, he has created that connection, that empathy with the story, with the characters, and with his music. But there's no fucking way I'm going to leave this without going to. I'm doing it. I don't give two shits. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. You're still here. We're going for it. God, when is it? Okay. We're all one big happy family. Danger! Danger, Captain Kirk! This is Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. Still the best Star Trek movie ever. Ever. It's gone dark in here. You got the Reliance, which has been hijacked by Khan and his crew of gypsy galactic warriors. You've got the Enterprise coming in. This is very strange. This is damn peculiar. They're saying their communication system's down. Scan. And Spock. Yeah, I'm already scanning. Everything seems alright. Power's on. But again, it's tribal. You've got elements of Wolfen will be in here. Don't forget, this is an early movie, 82 for James Horner, and 81 was Wolfen. And many elements from Wolfen are in this. You got the shrill blasts and beats, and you got the Federation motif. This is damn peculiar, this, sitting there like, And of course, it's all a big trap. The Reliant is going to fucking fire on the Enterprise, because the Enterprise has now got the Genesis details. Well, they want everything on the Genesis project. Life from lifelessness. So the Enterprise is getting battered. So many great elements that go into it. It's so sort of renegade. And the metallic. And we rise. We go up to make the threat even more nasty. So Enterprise is getting rocked about. And they get wasted with a trainee crew as well, like Captain, the Reliant wants to speak to you. They want to open whatever fucking way it is. Wishes to speak to you. They want to discuss terms of surrender. And Kirk's like, it's so bombastic. What is that? Is that some kind of archaic cello made out of bones and sinew from dinosaurs? Don't want to talk terms of our surrender. Point of view screen. Captain, do it now! Calm will suddenly appear. And like Kirk just goes like, see, you remember me, old friend? What is the meaning of this? Well, I thought it was obvious. I've given him Bela Lugosi's voice. I've deprived you of your life support and everything, and when I swing around again, I'll deprive you of your life. If you surrender all information about the Project Genesis. So of course they do their retaliatory thing, like Savick there. Oh god, she's died now as well. Oh my god. Gotta learn why things work on a starship. We're telling our computer to order their computer to lower their shields. And of course he's got his glasses on because he's allergic to Retnick 6 or whatever it is. Can't just, save my crew. Have me beamed aboard with Genesis and save my crew. I'll agree to your terms if all this stuff like Khan, how do I know you're gonna keep your word? Oh, I've given you no word to keep, Admiral. In my estimation, you just have no choice. I see your point. Assuming he hasn't changed the code, he's very intelligent. I'm just throwing in bits of dialogue from massively disjointed here. But listen to James Horner's build up. It's heroic and it's building. And it's still to this day, one of my favourite scenes ever. Admiral, time is a commodity you don't have to keep. Coming through now, Khan. Sire, the shields are lowering. Well, raise them. I can't. Fire. Bits of Reliance everywhere. And Reliant just roars off right over the top of the Enterprise. Sir, we must retreat. No, I must go. No, he's going nowhere, says Yohim, who's Khan's second in command. He's going nowhere. I'll be honest, I've reenacted this scene better in the past. And you'll get like, of course, like, Captain, you did it! I did nothing, except I cut my britches down. And then, whoosh, and Scotty will be there with his nephew, all blood soaked. His nephew who was from, correct me if I'm wrong, House on the Prairie. Is that it? And you'll go, isn't it great? I said, isn't it Grace then, instead of isn't it great? Because I was looking at the track Amazing Grace. Spock dies in this movie. So you'll get James Horner doing an interpretation of Amazing Grace on the bagpipes. For Braveheart, he did not use Scottish bagpipes, he used Wheelian pipes with the Irish pipes. You got Scotty playing as they jettison Spock's casket off onto the planet Genesis. It's no surprise that Horner's orchestra coming in. And it's done respectfully and beautifully. And Horner would go on to do Braveheart, but with Wheelian pipes. Still sounds great though. Well folks, I have been and always shall be Kilt-Man. And I'm just trying to think of a way of ending this. Yeah, we'll do it this way. We'll go back to the New World. Folks, Gary Kester's artwork there. Gary, that is outstanding, of course. But you know the quality of your work, and now many of us do as well. That has captured James Horner, a marvellous composer who could, I don't know, reach in and grab you by the soul and take you for a ride. And to see him, as I said before, about the impromptu concert we just caught, and the way he was moved to tears with his own music, for God's sake. It shows you that he put his heart and soul into everything that he wrote and composed. It had a massive effect upon me. And his music always, I think of Aliens. Did we play any Aliens? Don't think we did we? The suspense, the sub-level 3 and the med chamber and all that, like, and Futile Escape and all of that. His suspense music is excellent. His evocation of other worlds and beauty, environments, action, but emotion is the thing which I take from James Horner's music. Pure and utter, unashamed emotion. Yeah, I got upset before. I knew I would. I put that playlist together, for God's sake. I know what James Horner's stuff does to me. And in retrospect, it may have been a slight mistake to have put in the heart attack from but it brought back immense memories, and that's what his music does. It does bring you to a primal level of pure emotion. It's gorgeous to listen to. It can be funny. You heard the stuff from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and you've got all of that element as well. The playfulness, the action, the drama, the suspense, the terror. Yeah, there's plenty of that. And the warmth, and the sadness and tragedy, and the sense of dread as well from Perfect Storm. And then you got this, which is just pure, beatific, spiritual beauty. You know, it just... Listen. Well, John, I don't know if you expected that kind of video out of this, but and Gary, you probably didn't at all. So to you two guys, salutations. James Horner. A shaper of lives and of love. All my favourite composers have elements of this, but Jerry Goldsmith encompasses everything: action, adventure, horror, suspense, historical. Everything is there. John Williams the same. Bernard Herrmann, brooding suspense and immense tragedy in some scores as well. Elmer Bernstein, ebullience, excitement, fear, but also, you know, James Horner is the one that always did do that spectral thing of managing to put his composing hands into your heart, caressing it, consoling it, crushing it, nursing it back to life. So James Horner gets the biggest accolade I could ever give as being the one that has driven my emotions through movies and through scores. And I will play scores to the films that I didn't like, but he scored, like The Four Feathers. I'm not a massive fan of the movie, but there's elements of that score which are so lyrical, beautiful, melodic. The Missing, which I don't like the film. Well, I don't like it. It's a fucking horrible film to watch. It genuinely is. And but his music is powerful and it's tribal, but it's got very emotive, humanistic elements to it as well. So he's the guy that can do all of that. I can show him again. By Gary Kester. And you can get these, you can buy these off Gary. He's on Facebook. He's probably elsewhere as well. Not too sure now. But Gary Kester does this fabulous artwork of our great composers. So folks, let it play out. Just imagine the amount of music we'd have had now if he hadn't crashed his plane. He was doing low aerial manoeuvres as well, which he'd done before, but eyewitnesses were saying like he was flying really low, so traffic control were going like, yeah, you're having problems there, aren't you? And like he literally couldn't get the plane any higher, and he was doing what would have been maybe survival and evasive maneuvers, and then ended up. But there's always a comeback. James Horner, I salute you, sir. Your music is undying. I don't care what the haters say. I really, truly don't. Christ, you know what? Music is great. If music moves you, celebrate it. That was the bit. Listen now. It's the angular bring-in of the panpipes, which kind of, in other clumsy hands, would not have worked. But he has that driving motif, that rising, huge inspirational moment, and then this just comes in at a really, you would say, mistimed moment, and yet it works. In other less skilled hands of writing and composition and orchestrating and conducting, because he was a conductor as well, that would not have worked. It rises and then you get that shrill burst. It unsettles you, and yet it still works together in one momentous drive. Okay, right. I'm knackered now. Don't know about you, but I'm knackered. I've been through everything here. So, folks, I have been on with Shabby Kilt-Man. Please, in the meantime, and this ever musical, lyrical, inspirational, and moving in between time, please keep it Celtic, keep it Celtic. And I am going to see you all when I get this friggin' Tintin little tuft sorted out.